All right, all right. It is Thursday. The week has really escaped me, to be honest with you guys. How you doing? How you doing? Welcome to Talk It Out with Miss Tanya. Hope you're having a good day. And listen, Talk It Out with Miss Tanya is where the timeline meets real talk. Life, people, politics. No spin, no fluff, no holding back. And I'm Miss Tanya. And if I am showing up on your timeline, let me know. Let me know. But I tell you what, we're putting it all on the table. What I want you guys to do is go ahead and let us know where you're from. Tap in. Let me know where you're from. Get on in the comments because this show is about you. You need to know that. It's not just me here talking. It's not just our guest here talking. And I will be having a guest here today. I'm going to have Kelli R. Williams back talking with us. We always have good conversations. But I tell you guys something before I bring Kelli on, I feel like there's something that we need to talk about. It's the elephant in the room. It's the elephant in the room, and I think we should talk. And I'm gonna take it back a little bit. I remember as kids, we used to say, "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me." And right now, I think it's a lot of adults who need to get back to that because people have the right to express themselves in disagreement with you. Words should definitely not in your life. Sometimes you just have to walk away. And I got to be honest, and you guys be honest with yourself. I have disagreed with many folks, people I've had conversations with, share community with, sit on boards and committees with. People that I've worked alongside, that I've eaten in restaurants with, learned in classrooms with, and even received business services from. I've had disagreements at times with my own mom or my cousins, people in my family, and you probably have too, right? But right here, here's the thing. Within all of those disagreements, I would never celebrate your downfall, even if you celebrate mine. Now that doesn't make me better than you. That's just the person that I have chosen to be. And that's where I want us to start today. I want you all to have better conversations, conversations that don't just go around in circles, but ones that actually lead us to community action. Because we've got things to do, and we can find way better ways. I'm sorry, we can find better ways of being productive. We got to be helpful and useful, okay? Because so many people right now are being affected by our economy. There's a lot of people out here struggling. Not everyone is, and that's great. Not everyone is. But I want us to do more than talk, do more than scroll online and making comments, and do more than getting angry at somebody else who's making comments because there's real work to be done out here. So, my challenge to you is really very simple. Find something to do. Find something to do. Kelly, how you feeling?
I'm exhausted. And the reason why, as you know, I am on ground. I am working and just really in the community, having a conversation, showing up, being present, um, and just doing the work. This has been an interesting week, I made a post last night. I was like, whoever opened up whatever portal, close it right now. But I do agree, right now is not the time to go against each other. It's not the time to divide ourselves. It's the time to, as we always, I'm gonna keep on saying it, educating ourselves, having the open conversations, respecting each other's opinions, each other's stance, and really coming up with solutions on how we move forward.
Mhm.
That's all the conversation that we need to be having. How do we move forward? That's it.
Absolutely. I agree with you. I agree with you. And, having open dialogue, this is something that, I've been doing for a very long time. And just seeing how important it is right now. And then also thinking about we've got to find better ways of receiving some of the content that we are consuming. Be intentional with the content that you're consuming. Go to trusted sources. And I tell people this too. You're already online. Like, how hard is it to do that little bit of extra work and search? Make
Yeah,
sure what you're reading is correct. Make sure that what you're reading is credible. Instead
absolutely.
Yeah, so there's a lot of that. I think and I'm looking at this, mainstream media seems to be like almost no more.
It is, and it's pretty scary. So, the latest headline, and I don't want to indulge into too much into it.
Right.
The Jimmy Kimmel show has been, canceled or suspended indefinitely. And my thing is, back to the research and back to making sure we get incredible sources. If you don't know X, I do
Mhm.
appreciate my followers who follow my content, and they are slide in my inbox and, hey Kelly, I saw you post this about, can you give me a little more insight or
Right.
information behind it? Can you show me how I can find out more information behind it? And I do appreciate those who are interested in learning more, but it's definitely being suppressed.
Mhm.
I also talked about the other day on my platform, the differences between opinion and political opinion. And that opinion is your personal views, your personal thoughts behind it, but political opinion, it affects our lives, it
Mhm.
affects our communities, it affects the policies that's implemented, it affects everything that we interact with every single day. So when it comes to the information that we're processing, yes, I want and encourage everybody to put their opinions and their provoking thoughts around whatever the issues are, but also let's be reminded that also you have opinions that is also based in facts. And I think that's the big thing right now with all the misinformation and the sound bites that's happening right now. It's not based in fact. And because we do downplay, it's an educational system in a
Yeah.
whole. And I tell people anti-intellectualism is on all-time high right now, because now we are questioning people who have did the research,
Mhm.
years and years of studies to get us to this point where we at,
Right.
versus, oh no, that's not real, that's not. But I'm like, it wasn't real for the last 10, 20, 30 years of our lives, or however long. I mean, you trusted in them. Why makes now so different? And I think that's the question I ask myself every single day, even in this space. What about now is making things so different that we are not trusting our credible
Well,
sources that we have?
it's that algorithm. Everybody is really, stuck into a particular algorithm. They have no idea of other things that may be going on. A lot of people are not really getting that difference of opinion. So many people are just kind of like I said, they're trapped into one particular news source or a few particular news sources and podcasts and things of that nature. So they don't
And,
know. It's
and
a
that's what I
trap.
hate about social media. So I'm a TikToker. I'm
Mhm.
I'm I'm not really a Facebook person. I'll post on Facebook in the morning. You may
Mhm.
see me interact, but if you know me, my platform is really on TikTok. And what you just said, the algorithm, and this is what I want to tell people. This is the funny thing about TikTok. If you engage with certain content, with the algorithm on TikTok, that's all you're going to see. So you have no clue of what other opinions or other thoughts or what other creators are really talking about. And when I figured that out, I was like, let me start using my search bar and start searching things, because I want to see what other creators are talking about different subjects. And then all of a sudden your algorithm, it changes and it builds, and that's what we have to be very mindful of when it comes to social media, because of what you click on. that is what I call your For You page, or your page that you know that you see every single day. That is what's going to be presented to you. So with that being said, we're going to have to become a little bit more better at saying, oh, I see this, but let me see if I can research and see what was the opposite
Yes.
opinion of this.
Why not? Why not? I think that's what you should do. Search things. Don't wait to be fed information, because that is the trap. That's the trap. And I think people also, I was having a conversation with someone and I was like, you just got to, when has there been a time that you didn't hear something that upset you? There's Let's be real about it. And why can't you hear something that upsets you? The whole idea is be motivated to do something positive with that. Redirect that energy. That's the main thing I really want people to get from this. Like, redirect your energy. If you feel a particular way, do something better.
And also, I think as adults now, because one thing I've learned as a child is, if I do something to target you, Tanya,
Mhm.
in a malicious or negative way, I'm thinking, oh, this is going to hurt Tanya because that's my person I want to go after. That's the intentions I'm putting out towards it.
Right.
But one thing I was taught at a very young age, and I appreciate my parents instilling this into me: whatever you target in a way, it can come back to you. And right now we are in a, I want to go after, point fingers, instead of us having meaningful conversations like, hey, why do you feel about this way? Or why did you state this in this manner? I want to be able to have that open dialogue and an open conversation to really see how you felt, versus I'm gonna target you and go after your job.
And that's, that right there. You're harming another family. You're taking food out of other children's mouth. I mean, you're doing so much more damage. So that is something. We got a lot of people who are chiming in. I see we've got some good people in here. How you doing? Councilwoman LaShonda Nee Smith is in here with us. All right, all right. Good to have you. Miss Bequilla Cannon is in here with us. She said, another afternoon, another day in America. Okay. We've got Hannah in here, and she's making a very good point here. She says, if retailers have done it, like, why wouldn't consumers think that social media wouldn't do the same? And we can kind of talk about that just for a little
Mhm.
moment. I mean, well, yeah, that's the whole idea. And they started I feel like consumerism, and then, for retailers, for corporations to get at those dollars and to target their direct consumer, that's why they wanted to collect our information, you know? I see we got Amina in here. How you doing, Amina? She said, if they have the power to feed you, they have the power to starve you.
Mm.
That's not just food, that's information, affection, all forms of energy. Woo! She said a whole lot right
A
there.
whole lot.
Right. And we want to go ahead and say good afternoon to Wendy. How you doing? She says, hello, beautiful people. Hello to you.
Hello, Wendy.
Listen, uh, I want to figure out ways of, like, see how many people are so amped up and involved in certain conversations that may not serve them productively. Let's get people in on doing some productive things. Let's talk about a little bit of what's going on coming up with local politics. We've got a lot going on in that realm. I know that there are races going on all across the nation, and we've got some coming up in our region, in our
Mhm.
areas coming up in November. Well, let's dive in that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as you know, we have a lot of municipal races that is coming up here in November, across the state, from mayor to city council to county council. So, I do, if you do not know if you're having a race or not, I do encourage you guys to go on scvotes.org. And on scvotes.org, you can do a multitude of different things. You can, number one, see when is your election day in your city, and see if you do have an election that's coming up. You can see what candidates have filed. as well. And I think you can actually call your election commission as well to see what seats that are actively up for your next election, as well as you can see your registration dates and deadlines. And I believe for state of South Carolina, in order for you to vote in the election this November, you have to be registered by October either the 4th or the 5th. But you can go on scvotes.org to find out that information. Also, all elections are not in the month of November. Ladder, for example, Ladder, South Carolina, their election for their city council and mayor is in December. So this is the reason why I just encourage you out, guys, to go ask the questions. You can go to your local city hall and you can say, hey, do we have an election this year? And they should also have a list of who has filed for those particular elections, like Myrtle Beach. They have an election that's coming up for their mayor as well as their city council. Last night, I actually attended their candidate forum. They have, I think it's like 5 individuals that's running for mayor in the city of Myrtle Beach, and as well as I think it's 10 individuals that is going to be fighting for 3 seats on city council that's coming up in November. So scvotes.org, call your local city council, go to your local city hall and ask the questions, as well as you can contact the election commission to find out if there is election that's coming up this November, and what seats are up. And if I know a lot of the filing dates are kind of past, but you have an opportunity for 2026, even more seats that's coming up for midterm elections to get on the filing for that. And the filing begins in March for 2026 elections.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I feel like a lot of people who are in their neighborhoods or in their communities and they're seeing things that they would like to see done, and they may have leaders or elected officials who, and people talk about it on the low. They're like, well, they're in office, they're not doing anything, they don't do anything for us. Those type of conversations are conversations I feel like we got to do better with that.
It's a two-way street. I tell anybody,
Right.
you absolutely hold your elected officials accountable, but I need to hold yourself accountable as well.
That's
Are you
where I wanted to
showing
go.
up to the school board, county council, city council meetings?
Mhm.
Are you actually involved in trying to see how you can be a benefit? Join committees. Most local cities have committees that you can join, the beautification committees, the downtown committee. Like,
Right.
what are you doing to do your part? Also, I tell people, your elected officials are, well, they should be very accessible. You at any time, you can pick up the phone, call them, set up a meeting, and actually have some one-on-one time with them. And then from that point, then yes, explain to them directly what you want to see done, but also ask this question: what can I do
That's
to help
Kelly.
you get
That
this?
that I like that, but I also feel not. But I want to say and ask what can I do. And if you are out here doing things, ask, because some of these people out here who know directly what's going on, just step up.
Step up.
Step
Step
up. You can be a candidate. People thinking like, they're not qualified, they can't do it. You got to stop thinking about that. If there is
the
something
requirements
that you
are
want to
minimal.
do, go ahead.
As I said, the requirements are so minimal to run for office. So I'm just gonna say, let's keep it
I,
local. City council, 18. You just have to live in that district for a certain period of time, and you have to be a registered voter.
Mhm.
That's it.
Yes. But you know what? I like that you said that it is minimal, but I would also like to say it shouldn't be minimal.
It
And,
shouldn't.
and one of the first things, I don't say that you have to have a particular job per se or particular career per se, because we're seeing that it does not necessarily take a business owner or anything of that nature to be an elected official, because we're not running this like a business. That's why we have business leaders. It's also important to know how your particular local politics run, like
It,
how your council runs. If
yes.
it is council and mayor driven, council and city manager driven, those things are important. And perhaps those are
And
conversations
a
we
lot
can
of
have.
people, and that's another thing too, we got to get better at, Tanya, is educating on how our city is run. So, for example, like my hometown where I'm originally from, of course, I have been in Horry County for 3 years,
Mhm.
but in my hometown of Mullins, it is Strong Council Week Mayor. Now, here in Myrtle Beach,
Mhm.
you have the mayor, you have the city council, but your city administrator, your city manager is the big dog in the city. They're the ones who really pull the shots. They're
Right.
the ones who really pull the trigger. So we always want to point at the mayor and the council, but it's like we need to start having meetings with these city administrators as well too,
Right.
because they hold a lot of power as well. And most of the times they write the checks. They're the ones who are helping bringing in these new projects and new development into our town. But I also want to say what you said, but to it takes a little bit more. I do want to say, and I know this is one thing we have been like saying, run for office, run for office. We need more people to run for office. Yes, we do. But you also need to have, number one, a few things. Understand that you're a public servant and you need to have a heart for the community. You also need to understand that once you assume this role, that you need to actually have some solid ideas and some solid plans on what you are willing to implement and bring to the table. And also you have to be willing to sacrifice a portion of your life, whether it's 2 years or 4 years, to really commit and dedicate to the city. Because more than often we push people to get into these seats that, I'm not saying that they don't have the heart for it, but they're not ready for all that comes with it. As you know, I work with political candidates all the time, and that's one thing I ask of them: are you truly ready to not only win this seat, but actually do the work? Because now it's going to be some sacrifices that you're going to have to make, and also you're going to have to go in some rooms that may not agree with you. Are you ready to put that energy out to truly fight, go against the grain to get some of these things done? Because you're going to turn to, I'm the most likable person to I'm the most hated person at times in these roles. So
And
are you
and
truly
and
ready?
that's what I'm talking about too. You have to be ready. You have to know and be willing to communicate with people who do not have the same ideas as you.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, you've got to. So I love that you said, you get out here, be a part of your community in terms of being on committees. There's so many things going on in your neighborhood. Start things yourself. I saw a story that I felt like was a really great story. I can't remember her name right now. I might look it up in a few, but tell me if you heard about it. There was a lady who she prepared like 100 meals a day and had school kids, when they got home from school, they were able to come to her house. She had a table out and they could
Oh wow.
get food. So just doing things that will work for your community. Let me
Mm-hmm.
see if I know where I want to look up where she was from.
And there's plenty stories like that. Like for example, when before I ran for office, I started District 5 Coalition. And basically the reason why I started District 5 Coalition was because I saw that we had trash, like literally just trash in my district. And the current city council person that I ultimately end up running against, I was going to him explaining like, hey, we have so much trash over here. Like, what is the city trying to do for it? So I took it upon my initiative, on my behalf. I created a flyer. I say, hey, this is different District 5 Coalition. Who else in this district want to come together and pick up trash? I went
Right.
to the SCDOT. I got the orange bags. I got us some pickers. And I had 20 people who joined me just to go and pick up trash out of our community. And that was the start of me saying, okay, I need to run for office, type of situation, because it didn't hear me.
Organizing. Organizing, doing something, being effective. Something needs to be done. Stop waiting, stop complaining, and put some work in. I found this lady's name is her name is Champagne Anderson. She's a mother of six from St. Louis, Missouri, and was widely reported for making more than 100 lunches a day for
Wow.
neighborhood children in need. Okay, so that story was highlighted on Good Morning America, but somehow it and that was in 2019, but you know how the internet is, it just came up in the feed and I saw it. But like you say, do what you can around your community. I also, in fact, within my community, there is a girl out here, a woman out here, her name is LaShonda Smoot. And let me tell you something. She has an organization that it takes a village. And what she does is she makes sure, like during the breaks, when the kids are in breaks for school, that they have somewhere to go. And she put a
Mm,
program together. They have full meals. She takes them on field trips. And when I say a person who's in the community,
in the community.
she's not an elected official. She has her own kids. She's out here working, but she put that together and the community actually supports it. So you have people in the community who make donations from some of the community leaders and just community members who know how important that is. Because you
Yeah,
gotta I love it. I love
we
it and
gotta
I
get
love her for
village.
that.
We gotta get back to the village, and that's what it reminds me of. She's created a village,
Right.
and in the village is helping the community. And
Absolutely.
this brings back to something I just recently, after this week, there's so much going on, and there's so many different things. How can we separate ourselves? And I might get some slack from this,
Mhm.
but how do we separate ourselves from party trying to tell us to do one thing, and us as community actually getting our communities back, educating our communities, and really becoming that village again? The reason why I say this is because of this. Everything that's going on, we're seeing some elected officials that are now being, just coming out and just doing things and just rallying people.
Mhm.
And we have to remember these are only figureheads, but we are still the community. We are the ones who have the power to really decide. We give them a little bit too much power and control of what they really truly don't have. The power is truly within the people.
Absolutely.
So how do we start really bridging and bringing the community back? Because as of right now, it is some interesting times.
Mhm.
And I feel like the only way we're going to break these interesting times is as we start to come back together as communities and really having real conversations as a community, not saying completely block out what's going on at a higher level
Well,
and what they're trying to implement and trying to do, but we need to, how can I say, we need to better prepare
it
ourselves.
yeah, well, here's the thing, okay? And this is unfortunate. Like I said, everybody's not gonna feel that struggle because there's been people who have prepared themselves, and they did the right thing by doing so. But I think it's gonna really, when it really just hits people really, really hard is when they start losing things,
Mm.
when they cannot when they cannot pay their light bill, when they cannot pay that water bill, when they miss that car payment, when their car get repossessed, when they miss more than 1 or 2, mortgage payments, and it will happen because,
Okay.
yeah, and it's happening now
With
because
the
I
with the Fed, and I don't want to get too technical, but everybody, oh, the Fed has dropped down the interest rates and etc. It's not a good thing. Inflation is about to hit like no other. And the reason why I say this is because we still do have, like, the tariffs. And I'm not an economist. I want to make that disclaimer, but I am a business major in minor in finance. And because they're trying to break down the federal interest rates at an aggressive rate that shouldn't be, instead of actually gradually bring it down, because we still have all these other things going up, inflation is still rising and it's going to end up crashing
li
to where, like what Tanya just said, we're not going to be able to afford certain things.
and see, you're right. There's gonna be people who are going to relate to what you're saying because they understand that language, but there's people who they don't wanna hear that. Inflation, whatever it means, how it rises, that's where they're at. It's gonna hit when they cannot afford to buy food. And unfortunately, we're talking about, everybody wants to be and feel safer. Well, that's not making for safe conditions because when people are hungry, they will do unusual things. And so that's why I think it's important for us to really get back to community because we are going to have to find ways of sharing with people who we know need. And you don't have to, a person shouldn't have to beg you for something. If you live in a neighborhood and you are aware of your neighbors and aware of your family members, you know where some of their needs are. And we just have to, as a family, as neighbors, we've got to find a way to collectively help each other.
So where,
Period.
so where do we start the conversation?
We started right in our home. We started right with our friends. We start like right now, like I feel like it could be a community group of you, or you decide like, hey, I got a few extra dollars this month, such and such is on sale. We tell each other when certain things are on sale, when you could get so many cans for so many dollars and stock those, you know, and have a reserve so when somebody here is feeling a little got a little low, but like, hey girl, go into that, we're gonna go into that stockpile. You get you something, get some meat out that freezer, and you make, you have a meal.
And I
Because
also think perfect time for financial planning and budgeting as well too, conversations.
it is. But some people can't budget because guess what? And I'm gonna say this because this is the language and it might sound funny, but the budget ain't budgeting.
It's
It's it,
not.
it's
It's
very
not.
difficult when your cost of living, quite honestly, just does not match your paycheck. So we talk about affordable housing so much, but affordable to who?
For
We don't have affordable wages for people to live. So let's be honest about that. And I feel I'm watching young people who live in some of these cities and they're paying like I know someone, I have a young adult, $1,800 a month for an apartment. Like, for me as an adult, when my first apartment, and I'm gonna age myself, I guess, but that's fine. My first apartment was $369 a month,
Mine was $395.
okay? And you're talking about $1,800.
Yeah,
That we know that that should be a mortgage for a nice home. So when you've got young people, they out here, they have the jobs and they have good jobs, but if your cost of living is so high, you're putting young people in stressful situations where, to be honest, they're just working to go to work.
they
And
are. Some of them pulling 2 and 3 jobs.
yeah, and that's no way to live. That has people stressed out. So that's why I say families gotta talk with each other and learn how to help and share each other through these times. Neighbors are gonna have to do that. Check on your elderly neighbors. You know
They're
they need it.
they need it in 2027. They definitely gonna need it because that's when, after this big beautiful bill, they set it up so perfectly.
Mhm.
In 2027, after midterm elections, which you need to go out and vote in midterm elections, a lot of these stuff is going to have a trickle effect. It's going to the Medicaid is going to start dropping off. Food, well, as we already know, here in the state of South Carolina, I'm not sure if they implement it yet. With the food stamps, trying to say, hey, you can't get any healthy food, which I do agree with that to a certain point, but we do forget that a lot of places in rural communities are food deserts. So they
Mhm.
don't have the access to the Walmarts or the Piggly Wigglies they go to. They only have the corner store that they can go to that accepts their SNAP benefits
And the
to get
Dollar
food.
Generals.
Yeah,
So there's no fresh food in these
no fresh
places.
food.
It's processed stuff. But in a time that we know that people are gonna be hitting, I don't even know if the conversation for fresh food is even gonna be a conversation. We just need to make sure that people are eating.
Eating.
Uh, yeah. I think, in some of these, we've got a lot of nonprofit organizations who are helping people, and I know that they're gonna be flooded. They're gonna need a lot more
But they
help.
also need help because a
Yeah.
lot of them, due to the current climate, has lost a lot of their funding.
Funding?
Because I a local nonprofit that I know of, they do fresh fruit and food and stuff, and they lost some of their funding that helped go towards black farmers to be able to help take they pay the black farmers, and then from there they disperse the food out, and
Right.
now they're having to find other outlets on how they can come. And that's why I say it's really going to take us as a community to really get back to the space, because what's happening is what's happening, and I need everybody to take a deep breath,
Mhm.
but also understand that this is our new normal. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. This is our new normal. We don't know how long this new normal may last, but we at least know until 2028 this is our new normal.
Yeah, we have to know that. The comments are steadily coming through, so I want to acknowledge these people in
Yeah.
the conversation with us. Uh, we've got Isaac Wilson in here. How you doing, Isaac? He says, "Do what you can with what you have." Absolutely, absolutely. We see Amina in here. She's giving love. She said, "Love Lashonda Smoot." Yes, absolutely. She deserves all of the applause for everything that she does and continues to do. Okay, we have Councilwoman LaShonda Neesmith Jackson in here. She said, "Public servants work for the public." That's something that you got to keep in mind too. They do work for the public. We've got Wendy here. She says, "Power to all people at all times." Definitely. We've got Rebecca Jackson here. She says, "On point." That is what that means, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry. On point. Yeah.
Listen, I get a little confused with the emojis a little bit. Okay. And she said, Amina, she says, "We've got to sweep around our own local porches before
Mm.
trying to do so much nationally."
Can you say that again?
Let's leave that up there for a little while.
And this goes back to we have to do, but I under social media, the news outlets, these big headlines are trying to get you riled up, but we have to start paying attention to state and local. That has a direct effect
Yeah.
on us. Again, I tell anybody, your governors of your state is like your president of your state. That's essentially what they are. And then you have your state and local officials. They're the ones who make the state laws that directly affect you. Superintendent of Education, your Secretary of State, all these people directly affect you. And then when you go down, let's bring it all the way down to the county council and city council. When it comes to your local city taxes, how your actual community actually look like, what industry is coming into your town, that has everything to do with your county council, your city council, as well as your state reps. You have in your county, you have state reps that can help from the state level funnel things down to you. So I understand the national is a lot going on. It's definitely a lot. I'm not going to say that it isn't, but it's so much happening, especially in South Carolina. It's so much is happening right here in the state of South Carolina that is getting swept up under the rug, and we're ignoring it. Going back to our last conversation we had last week, right now they are trying to push the most extreme abortion ban bill here in the state of South Carolina. And that means for women, I don't care, we will not have any rights when it comes to our own choice with our bodies. And that's here statewide. It's not national, that's here in the
State.
state.
But that matters to you because if you live in this state, that directly affects your life. Absolutely. Um, Gosh, comments are coming in so much here. Uh, let's see what we got here. Wendy, she said, "We need to care because it is happening to people now." Absolutely. Hannah Parker, good to have you here, Hannah. She said, "I was only 25, but same point. The reserve reclined a greater what? Decrease due to the implications stated. Pay attention, people." We've got Rebecca Jackson here. She said, "We perish from the lack of knowledge.
Mm.
Definitely need more educational and awareness events that speak to common everyday people issues.
Mm.
Before we were political, we were community and neighbors."
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I love that.
And that's why I was having a conversation. So my dad was raised in Jim Crow. And a lot of people don't. I don't think a lot of people know that we're on like one generation far removed from that. Because I saw a lot of people on social media. I think in New York, Fashion Week is a black designer, and he brought up like Cecil Williams. He brought out Bernice King. He brought out Malcolm X's daughter and a few other. A lot of people was like, oh my God, these Ruby Bridges. A lot of people was like, oh my God, they're still alive. But anyway, to the conversation me and my dad had, because I went to my dad and I was in this much despair this week. And I said, Dad, it's 2025. I'm like, all the things that you used to tell me and my siblings that what you went through as a child and even as a teenager, like, I feel that we're slowly reverting back to those things. And I said, how did you get through it? Because like I said, right now, I feel that I'm just mentally drained. I want to jump into action, but at the same time, I want to protect myself. How did you navigate through it? And he said, one thing is like, I think it was Hannah who just said a comment, community. He said, we understood what we were facing during segregation time. We understood what was against us. But he said, even though we understood it and we protected ourselves in certain ways and we knew what we could and could not do, the community was there like no other. So he said sometimes, he said when he was growing up until he became like more middle school, high school, he said even as a young child, he didn't even realize what segregation was because the community shielded and protected them and provided food, provided resources. The businesses was thriving, the homes were being built, the education was there. They
people shared everything.
Everything.
There was not like I remember it. I mean, you know, I was born late 69, so I grew up in the 70s, but I remembered it. Families shared a whole lot more. You got hand-me-downs. I mean, you know, you weren't too proud. You didn't have to have the latest and the greatest, and you didn't have to have everything, but you were clean, well fed. You had good had shoes on your feet, clothes on your back. Those things were taken care of. Home was taken care of. I see Wendy here. She says, my daughter has 2 roommates to help pay their $1,700 a month rent.
That's a mortgage. Wow.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. Like, there's young people out here paying that on their own. What am I? More than that.
I am married, and I tell anybody I could not do anything without my husband. I'm just being honest. You need it. You need that to a third person. I don't see how people survive on their own.
Listen. Rebecca, she said community and family banking systems to save and work collective toward ownership has to happen. People should think like that. I feel like there should be ways of, co-op farming for if someone has land.
But I'm not trying to be the negative Nancy. In order for us to achieve that, we have to have some real conversations within
real conversations. And that's what we're talking about.
And I'm just saying this from my own experience. You know, my daddy always was, and he still is big on, like, what I have, you guys have. I've built this for you guys to have. He's made sure his attorneys, gave us all the information. So we know that we'll be taken care of. But everybody can't say the same thing. I have friends that, say like my family, if anything happens, we would be left with nothing.
Right.
And with that being said, we need to start being intentional with number one, stop the feuding between our families and our community. Because I think we still, as a community, we are together, but we're not together. And we really need to understand that now is not the time for us to be that crab in the barrel mentality. We really need to, and not gatekeep. And that's one thing I'm really big on. If I know something, I'm going to share it with you, because my thing is, in order for us to move together and to grow together and to advance together, we have to be willing to share information, but also got to be willing to receive that information.
Right.
It's not, I'm not too, you think you this, you think you that, tell me this and that. No, I am trying to put you on, because I know that if we don't put ourselves on right now, 10, 15 years on the line, it's going to be a problem.
It is. It really is. I like what you said in terms of now is not the time to have that crabs in a barrel type of mentality. It really isn't. It's unfortunate. We all know families who are just not family.
Mm-hmm.
We know people who will do any. I gotta let you guys know, everybody doesn't have a loving family. And there's some people who are listening who are not loving family members. They're not. But that doesn't mean that you don't have a good neighbor. And that doesn't mean that you can't find what you need in your community. Sometimes the family that you create is going to be a lot better than the family that is your blood or the family that you were born into or that you grew up in. Because let's be honest, the same way you feel like a stranger might could wish ill will upon you, there's family members who will do the same thing.
Oh yeah.
They rather take from you than help you. You know, so I've seen it. I know it. It's unfortunate, but I don't want people who are experiencing that to think that there isn't help out here for you. You got to get out in these neighborhoods, get out in your community. I see we got Barbara Black in here with us. She said, I'm trying every day to get more knowledge and wisdom for myself, for my community. Good to have you with us here, Barbara. She's running for
City council
yes, city council in
in
Johnsonville.
Johnsonville. Yes.
All right, all right. Good to have you in here with us. Someone who is doing something and looking to do something for the people. So you guys find out, go to her website. I hope in Johnsonville you know who she is or get to know who she is. Rebecca, she said, just read that Lake City cuts are 100,000 per month. Hmm.
Hmm.
I don't know what cuts you're talking about.
Yeah.
So give me a little bit more than that, Rebecca, because we've been talking, and as the comments come through, maybe you were on track with what we were talking about. Okay, so we got Hannah here. She said, "What do you think the state decision regarding
Oh.
gerrymandering and fair maps?"
Yeah,
Hmm.
announced yesterday the Supreme Court is in basically allowing them to what they've been doing. Gerrymandering is something that's not new. It's not anything new. It's just now it's becoming more, you know, out there in the public. But I think that's awful. No, I don't care what side of the aisle you land on.
Mhm.
Gerrymandering is wrong. My thing is, and I feel that the only reason why you would gerrymander is because either A, you're running scared and you know that whoever your opponent is going to end up, claiming that district or that seat, or B, that you truly are trying to suppress your constituents. And that's the thing in the people. And my thing is, I've never understood it. I feel that it's not a wise decision. It's never proven to be a wise decision. Our neighboring state, North Carolina, has proven that it's never been a wise decision. And that's why I encourage the people, even though they have their plans and their tactics to try to suppress us, to try to cut and divide us, especially minority communities, because we are the most affected when it comes to gerrymandering. They split our
Wait,
community.
put a pin right there for a minute, and then I'll let you continue. I want to give a very basic definition of gerrymandering for someone who might not understand what that is. Okay, so I'll just read a basic definition. Gerrymandering is when voting district lines are drawn in unfair ways, and the goal is to help one political party win more elections. Okay, this can make it harder for some people's votes to count fairly. So that's what gerrymandering is. They draw the districts in a way that, to be honest, you aren't necessarily voting for a political leader. It's like they have chosen a particular uh, voting pool. So they know that they're going to win. So again, gerrymandering is when voting district lines are drawn in unfair ways. The goal is that a political party wins more elections and they make it harder for some people's votes to be counted fairly. Go ahead and continue, Kelly.
And that's what I was just about to say, with gerrymandering is unfair. And that's why I try to tell the people you need to be aware and also still vote how you feel they need to be vote. Because sometimes even though they can gerrymander the heck out of your district, you still have the power to vote for whoever you want to vote for. You
Don't
don't
give up.
You don't have to vote for that person that they're trying to redraw the lines to get into the seat. But here
Mhm.
in the state of South Carolina, we are a super majority red state. We only have one district that is held by a sitting congressional member who's a Democrat, and that's Jim Clyburn.
Right.
So if they redistrict, all they're doing is trying to take Jim Clyburn out and basically just where all the districts where it's made fairly where they have they would have the power to actually win more red seats. But that's a suppression. It is a voter suppression tactic, and this is the reason why we must call it out every single time. We need to put them on nose and say, "Hey, we see what you're trying to do, but guess what? Who has the power to vote you out? I do." And like I tell people, it only takes 5 minutes to do so. So if you, I think it's Ralph Norman here in the state of South Carolina, who was actually one of the first ones to push it.
Ralph.
Don't vote Ralph back into office. And I know he's trying to run for governor. Don't even vote him for governor. Vote Jermaine Johnson. I'm just going to say that. But yeah, we still, they don't understand. I think, and that's what we have to, these elected officials, we're going to have to put them back on notice and let them know we, the people, have the power. If we didn't, they would not be using tactics as such as gerrymandering.
Right. And they would not try to suppress your vote. I want to encourage people to like there's several ways of suppressing the vote. Let's just be honest about that as well. Um you think about if you go to vote and things like your voting precinct has been changed
Mm,
and you weren't properly informed, or you go to vote and it's taken you an incredible amount of time and there's not an incredible amount of people there. You go to vote and they're having machine issues every time. You look at and figure out, okay, is this only happening at my precinct and my community? Because listen, the election commission has one job.
yeah, and it's some interesting happened yesterday with the election commission too. But yeah, that's another subject for another
Well,
day.
that yeah, we need more time to
We
talk
need more
about that.
time with that, and we need Isaac on the line with that one.
And that would be great. That would be great as well. I do agree. But you've got to be patient because they're trying to disappoint you. The unfortunate thing is that there are people who work on election day. If they really wanted everybody to vote, the same way we have all of these holidays, and I'm not listen, I like a holiday like anybody else, and I'm gonna celebrate your holiday because I'm gonna celebrate a holiday if I feel like celebrating a holiday. But why? Why is election day not a holiday, an official holiday so that everybody gets an opportunity to go out and vote? Because they don't want you to vote.
They don't want you to vote. They don't want you to vote. And I also again want to remind, it was only what 61 years ago that the Voting Right Act came into place. I want to remind you guys of that. So it's our right, it's our duty to go out and simply make your voice be heard by, voting. And I understand the tactics and all the things the suppression may make you feel discouraged and weary, but now is not the time. We have to fight back, and how we fight back is by our vote, as well as identifying viable candidates to replace those who are trying to vote out and supporting those candidates to get them in the seat.
Mhm. I agree. I agree. We're gonna go on these comments because Kelly, I can't believe listen.
They flooded in today.
Yeah. And I tell you what, let's see, let's see, let's see. Let's get in here. Wendy says people choose the politicians, not the politicians choosing the constituents. Okay, okay. LaShonda Lee Smith Jackson says gerrymandering is absolutely wrong. Voters should choose their elected officials, not elected officials choosing their voters. Absolutely, absolutely. So, you guys are absolutely right. I see we've got Wendy here. She said 40% of voters choose the Democratic candidate in the last federal election, but our congressional representation is 14%.
Yes.
Okay. Uh, We've got LaShonda here. She also says the election commission meeting is October 21st at 6 p.m. Please pack Florence County Election Commission office. Please. You guys, that's something too. Like along with your city council meetings, along with your county council meetings, go to your election commission meetings, your school board meetings. All of these meetings are places and that you need to be if you care about your community. Don't
Abs-
don't just complain. Be in the room, okay? Be in the room. Be in the room. I tell you what, Kelly, I want to do a little something here. I got a little segment. I'm trying out a little something where I'm on the streets with the people. So I went on the streets and I was asking a couple people some questions about things that they're doing. So I want to kind of implement that in there. So let me go find my people on the streets video. You know what I'm gonna have to do? I'm gonna have to create a little opening for it so I can
you
get
should.
fancy. I gotta get fancy schmancy with it.
Think about your future right here in this city, right?
Yes.
What kind of changes do you hope leaders are working on?
I hope leaders are working on more ways to keep our strong-minded creatives in the city and having to look outside for outlets. Okay, we lose more creatives every year than probably any other region, and we have monsters in creativity here. So that's just one thing that I would like to see. Making sure that the young people don't feel like they have to go outside of Florence.
We out here. You know what we're doing? I'm on the streets talking to the people. All right. So check this out. What's one of your biggest concerns for your family when it comes to decisions being made by either the city council or our state house?
My biggest concern for my family would be us living in a safe neighborhood. That would be my main concern for me and my family.
What makes you feel your voice matter or doesn't matter when it comes to local politics?
These are some tough questions, Tanya, that I wasn't prepared for, but I feel like my voice does matter. Not too long ago, I was talking to one of the county council people. He listened and sounds like he's going to take some of what I said to him and implement it. So I feel like my voice is heard.
All right, guys. All right. Here's what I want you to know. The segment of On the Streets, it has been sponsored by Draper G. Myers Mortuary LLC at Draper G. Myers. They take great pride in caring for families and work tirelessly to provide a beautiful, lasting tribute to your loved one. Along with their professional services, they also provide an online memorial that can be shared with family and friends. Their priority is honoring your loved one while also supporting you through this difficult time. With a wide range of resources, Draper G. Myers is here not just for today, but for the weeks and months ahead. You are welcome to call them any time of the day, any day of the week for immediate assistance. Also, visit the funeral home in person for your convenience. They also provide a wealth of information on their website so you can learn more from the privacy of your own home. We are here, and you hear the people out here on the streets. You know, I like what one of the, I like Voodoo there. Are you familiar with Voodoo Child?
DJ, correct?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I like what he said about the arts and artists in the community. Definitely that's something that's close to my heart. As well as we had the next person on the street who felt like, hey, yeah, I talk to some of my community leaders. If I see them, I feel like they're approachable, and that's something that you talked about. You should be
Mhm.
able to do
Mhm.
that. You should.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. I love that. And that's what we need to hear from the community. But before we go off, I definitely want to give a shout out to the city of Irmo, South Carolina. They just passed a hate crime ordinance. As you know, South Carolina is like one of like the 2 or 3 states in the whole entire country that does not have a hate crime bill. So now the cities and the counties across the state is taking it upon themselves to get something done about it. And Irmo, as of yesterday, is one of the latest that has passed it. So kudos to Irmo. I know Orangeburg has passed it, as well as Georgetown has passed it. So, and I think North Myrtle Beach is one has as well too. So definitely, let's continue getting it going until we can get one across the state.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Kelly, I think we had a good conversation here today. The idea is to, just have people engage in conversation. Take it beyond here. Maybe there's something that you might hear one of us say in conversation or a comment that you might hear from a person in the chat. Take it off of here. I
Mhm.
really want you guys to have conversations offline, but if we can inspire you, that's what we want to do.
Absolutely.
That's all I got, Kelly. That's all I got, girl.
Thank you for having me again. It's always a pleasure.
Always, always, always good to have you. Guys, thank you so much. Kelly was our guest here today. Always love having her here. Let's give Kelly a round of applause. All right, all right. And I'm just getting ready to get on out of here. That's what I have to do. I want you to go great. I want you to understand that things that you want in your honest times. It takes you putting that work in. You can be involved. You don't have to wait for a particular leader. You don't have to wait for a particular permission. Just do what you know needs to be done. All right, y'all. I'm out of here. Y'all be great.